What's up, David?
Hey, Rex.
How are you, man?
How are you, buddy?
Good, thank you. How are you, man? Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I was having that text conversation yesterday where Tom Corway and Tom Black were texting together. Yeah, oh, we did. Oh, I remember very well. Yeah, very sad. You're doing well? Good. Good, man.
What's that? Here a minute. What's up? Need something? You got 50? You got 50?
What's that?
You got the 10 till? You got 10 till?
10, about 12 till, yeah. Sorry.
Check, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check. Check, check, check. Here we go.
I think you need to let me do the announcement for Farm Bureau and Arkansas Urology.
Oh, wow. We'll let you say, Gary, I'll let you say something if you want to. All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's program. I think you're going to really enjoy Austin Allen today. He has the record now. There's Bobby, his dad right there. Your son did a great job. You know, when you have a flight that leaves at 5:15 in the morning, I always get a little nervous about speakers. I keep looking at my phone during my radio show going, David, I missed my flight. But he is here today. He's going to have some great things to say, some interesting things, you know, over a period of the last few years that I think some of us have forgotten about, that I think will be very intriguing during his playing years. So looking forward to hearing what he's got to say today. You know, Butch Jones was last week. The Buzz will be actually at Jonesboro to watch the game Thursday night on national television against a very tough Louisiana team, Rex. So hopefully Lane Hatcher will jump in there and lead that team to victory. Then next week on this stage, I'm trying to arrange it, 2 gold jackets, 2 NFL Hall of Fame gold jackets wearing at the same time, Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson. How cool would that be to have both of them up here wearing their gold jackets? Both of them went in at the same time, so hopefully we can make that happen. Going to bring Gary Underwood up to lead us in a word of prayer. Just a thought real quick. One of our founding board members, A.B. Metters, lost his father, Alan Metters, who was legendary in the insurance business in this state. And it was very tough on A.B., I know. So just think about him today and just our thoughts with him. And Gary, will you come up and lead us in a word of prayer?
Austin, by the time everybody gets home, the message is going to be that you were still up at 2:30. Well, let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the opportunity to gather together today and all the many blessings that you give us. Lord, we ask your special mercy, grace, and comfort and presence be with the Metters family. Lord, we ask you that you just reach out and hold them in your arms. Lord, thank you for everything that you provide for us every day. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. And I guess, hey, Dee, will you go ahead and close that door back there if you don't mind? And I know it's a little warm in here. We've asked to see if we can get the AC turned down a little bit, if that's possible. Remember now, if you can, mute your phones. If you want to tell somebody who wants to watch Austin today, just can go to lrtouchdown.com or the Touchdown Club Facebook page. Now, was it last week that the Facebook page didn't work?
No, 2 weeks ago.
I'm telling you, people almost lost their minds when Facebook didn't work. And so anyway, so that's working today. Or you can listen on 103.7 The Buzz. We appreciate The Buzz for sponsoring our meetings each week. Let's start with an acknowledgement of our sponsors, 103.7 The Buzz I just mentioned. Be listening Thursday morning, that hopefully, or Friday morning rather, that hopefully we'll be talking about a victory. We do appreciate Wes and Justin here every week, sponsored by Arkansas Urology. Hatcher Agency, want to mention them. Greg Hatcher, I talked to him yesterday, had a hip replacement, maybe his third. He is going to try to make the game Thursday, a week and a half, trying to get in a plane and get up there. But he wants to be there for his son. We appreciate the Hatcher Agency and their support of the Touchdown Club. Popeye, of course, handling all of our limo and transportation for our speakers. War Memorial Stadium finally arrived. Historic. I know Rex will mention this in a minute. How amazing is it that Arkansas will play its first in-state team in modern history? 1946, I'm sure Rex will mention that. Yeah, it's worth a round of applause. Ron Davis, one of our founding members, is a UAPB Golden Lion football player, former star. And, yes, listen, and I was a former player. No, you were a star. But listen, we hope there's a great crowd at War Memorial. Yeah, I hate that it's 11 o'clock. I just, again, just unfortunate that's the case. And unfortunate for Arkansas, they've lost a few games in a row now. But from the historic standpoint, get out and support the Razorbacks, get out and support UAPB, a state school here in Arkansas, and something we have not seen. I wonder what Frank Broyles would be saying today, Rex. It's okay. It's okay. It was time. I never thought I'd see it. By the way, if you haven't seen the article in The Athletic, I'm sure Wally would and Amanda would endorse this article, even though it's not in the Democrat Gazette. So there's an article in The Athletic about when Nebraska tried to hire Houston Nutt. If you have not seen it, it is amazing. And remember that, y'all remember that when the plane was on the tarmac in Fayetteville. That's a true story. So Coach Turner's over here. I see him over here. Coach Turner, listen, Coach Broyles said, I'm not talking to Jimmy Sexton. I'm not talking to him. So he didn't talk to Houston's agent. And so finally, Houston was trying to make up his mind. Coach Broyles said, you should just leave. If you want to leave, just leave. I can hear him saying that. But Houston stayed. And anyway, I digress. Anyway, that's just a great Coach Broyles story. But anyway, Coach Broyles, I think, would be happy. I think it was time, and I hope it continues. And great for Hunter Yurchek and UAPB for working that situation out. Again, the kickoff's at 11 o'clock at War Memorial Stadium. Arkansas Urology, thanks to Christian Epp and Scott Davis for all their support of the club. 14 clinics across Arkansas, serving 110,000 patients annually. Make sure, guys, and get your checkup if you would. Pulaski County Farm Bureau, thanks to Todd Dennis and Stephen Reichert. Give them a chance to give you a quote on all your insurance needs. They're awesome guys. Advantage Service Company, great to see Kevin Brooks and his gang here all the time, every week. We appreciate Kevin. The guys are going to be coming out and looking at my house here shortly. They handle everything, HVAC, plumbing, electrical, generators, you name it. They can do it all. Appreciate you guys being a sponsor this year at Vantage Service Company. Dairy Queen. It's great to have families that are involved. I'll mention Big Red in a second, but great to have the Lively family, Blake, Nelson, and Jacob Lively and Todd Denton. If you're feeling a little down, if you're a Razorback fan, go out and get some comfort food at Dairy Queen. It's okay. It'll help. It'll make you feel a little bit better. But thanks to Dairy Queen, their support. Simmons Bank Arena. So we've talked about Reba McEntire, February 5th. Harry Styles, November 24th. Is anybody excited about Harry Styles? And Melissa? Melissa right there. Melissa's right. Yes, right there. There she is. Do you have grandkids who know who Harry Styles is? Okay, well, listen, he's a big deal. He's a big deal, I hear. I think most of our group, I was talking with the folks at Simmons Bank Arena, go, most of your group will have grandkids that are really excited to hear about that. Also announced Morgan Wallen, Saturday, November 20th. I looked at RJ. He's our country music guy. He's a big star. Morgan Wallen. Okay, so that went on sale, I think, today, November 20th. Tickets on sale this Friday. SimmonsBankArena.com for more information. I mentioned family, Big Red stores. Always great to see. Look at the Big Red, always showing the red. Look at the red shirts. They're here every week. David and Doug Hendricks, we appreciate them. David Jr. Hendricks over there. Landon Parker, Chandler Tillery here today. These guys are here. Now, Roger's not here today. It's his birthday. It's his birthday. You know, Grant, what? Where's Grant Morgan? Grant Morgan was here yesterday in town shooting some spots for the NIL deal for Big Red, but we appreciate the happy birthday to your spokesperson, Roger Scott. But great to have Big Red stores represented here today. Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, you know, we're talking a lot about Judy and the sports law and all those things, the NIL, but you guys do a lot more than that. You got 15 attorneys dedicated to all things business. I'm talking about estate planning, mergers, acquisitions, real estate, investing, contract negotiation, you name it. They do that and much more. But we've got a couple great, outstanding lawyers today from Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings who handle all the business type aspects. Kirby, and I want to get this right, Moralia? How about that? Kirby Moralia. Yeah, and you from Jacksonville? Yes, great to have you here. And Collins Hickman, where is he at? Collins, great to have you here. You're a Little Rock native. Again, they handle everything. I mean, it's amazing how much stuff you guys handle at Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, Judy. But great to have you two here. If you've got a business issue when it comes to legal, call Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. They'll take great care of you. And remind me, I need to get the new logo for Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings, don't I? Yes, I do. Appreciate you. Crane Automotive, down here in front, largest dealer group in Arkansas, 17 dealerships, 3 RV dealerships, 1,000 Arkansans employed by Crane Automotive. Always glad to have you all represented down front. Do thank Larry Crane, Barton Hankins, and that group. Wally Hall, Amanda Copley. You know, it's funny, Amanda, I was looking at pictures of Austin Allen. Do you know you're on stage with Austin back when he was in high school? Do you remember? You haven't aged a bit, Amanda. But Amanda and Wally, you guys have been supportive of the Touchdown Club for so long. We appreciate you. We'll meet our Arkansas Preps, all Arkansas Preps Player of the Week here in just a minute, but we appreciate you. Simmons Bank could not be here today. They've got some kind of major meeting. Who knew? It's a major meeting. When you're worth $26 billion, I guess those things happen. But they are the best presenting sponsor. Lunsford Bridges here. Lunsford, you helped start this thing forward back at Metropolitan, and obviously Simmons bought you guys. But we couldn't do it without an amazing presenting sponsor like Simmons Bank. Let's give all of our great sponsors a round of applause. We appreciate them. Do want to thank Brent Bailey, who is the best in the business here. With the Doubletree Hotel, Lawrence Schlechte, Matt Johnson back there, M&M Productions. Got some really cool photos and video coming up with Austin's presentation here in a second. Dwayne Duncan taking great photos. RJ Hawk handling social media to my left. Chopper Ward handling some of our great websites. And the best volunteer team in America, Touchdown Club. Nobody touches it. You guys and ladies know who you are, along with Debbie, who does such a great job and knows everybody who comes in this room, Debbie Wyman. Let's give a big round of applause to all of them, if you could. My girlfriend Jessica worries about me. She goes, I worry when you start sweating up on stage. She's sweating. I said, that's what happens when you are 50 pounds overweight. So I don't mind. Listen, I'm not. I told Terry. You remember what I told Terry Bradshaw when he handed me? I don't need your napkin. I sweat. It's what I do, Terry. And so, but anyway, couldn't do it without an amazing volunteer group, and also our man Wes Sutton. So Wes Sutton is back in the back corner. He's got a mask on back there. Wes is the guy who goes and picks up all of our speakers, and Wes is Mr. Quiet Man. He's just really low key and does a great job. I want to give a round of applause for Wes Sutton for the job he does. So often, some people you would send to do this go, fanboy on people, whether it be, Terry Bradshaw or Vince, Vince Young, Vern Lundquist, Eli Manning. But Wes has done a great job for many, many years. We couldn't do it without him. All right, at this point, we want to recognize our All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week. So, R.J. Hawk, will you come up and introduce our guest today?
All right, our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week this week comes from Conway, Arkansas. It's the Conway quarterback. You can go ahead and come on up. 6-1 they are right now on a 6-game win streak. And I talked to Steve Sullivan prior to the meeting, and he said, quote, "The 2-minute drive that Donovan Amolo was able to create against Northside this last week was the most efficient drive he has ever seen in high school football." He said this player is one of the most efficient and effective high school players in the state. 2 weeks ago against Cabot, he was 20 of 26 for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns in a 57-21 win over Cabot. On the season, he's thrown for 1,700 yards, 15 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. Today, his mother Elizabeth is here, his brother Jacob. Coach Fimple's here somewhere. Coach, where are you at? There he is, as well as some of his coaching staff. They're here as well, honoring Donovan Amolo, All Arkansas Preps Player of the Week.
Thanks, RJ. And that young man has great hair too. Look at that. Look at that hair right there. Where's Mom at? Right there. Mama, are the girls after him? They are. Yes, they are. They just want to touch the hair. That's exactly right. He's just a sophomore too. Listen, I will say, RJ's right. So Sully, I'm sitting in the press box at Fayetteville, getting ready for the Razorback game this weekend. He starts talking about you. I said, Sully, you're not going to believe this, but we're honoring him this Monday at the Touchdown Club. But he was bragging on you on what RJ said. So keep up the good work, and you guys must have something special going on over there in Conway. Coach, thanks for being here. All right, it was a crazy weekend in college football. Holy cow. Even into Sunday. Let's get up for Rex Nelson for the Weekend in Review.
All right, well, you know how David keeps every year a secret about who our program's going to be. People think I know. They ask me all summer. I don't have a clue till we have the news conference every August. He keeps that such a secret. But I can already tell you, we'll have Coach Orgeron back next year for a second time. I can see that one coming already. Now, there's a difference from the first time. This time, we are going to have a translator here. So he's going to come up and he's going to say, and the translator's going to step over here and say, "I'm delighted to be at the Little Rock Touchdown Club today." So just be ready. We know it's coming. All right, I got to start here. A third consecutive loss for the Razorbacks. It was a magical month of September, wasn't it? 4-0, a September to remember. It's been an October to forget. Auburn 38, Arkansas 23 in front of 73,370 at Razorback Stadium. Tigers moved to 5-2 overall, 2-1 in the conference in their first year under Brian Harsin, the former Arkansas State head coach. Hogs fall to 4-3 overall, 1-3 in the SEC. That is 6 straight in this cursed series for Auburn to win 8 of the past 9. Those 6 straight are the second most of any SEC team against Arkansas. Of course, Alabama has won 14 consecutive games against Arkansas. Arkansas loses despite outgaining Auburn 460 to 427. Hogs had 232 rushing yards. They topped 230 for the 5th time this season, in fact, on the ground. But Arkansas was missing 3 defensive starters due to injury. Here is the good news. 3 weeks until the next SEC game. So hopefully some time to get some people well with UAPB this week, an open date, and then the next SEC game. Auburn's Bo Nix, who was born when his dad was here in Arkansas coaching at Henderson, went 21 of 26 for Auburn, 292 yards, 2 touchdowns. Arkansas's KJ Jefferson, 21 of 35, 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 66 rushing yards. And as David mentioned, we have an 11 a.m. start for the 4th consecutive week coming up this Saturday. Moving on, but it doesn't get much better. UCA falls to 2-4, a 38-35 loss in Conway to 5-1 Eastern Kentucky. The Bears led 28-10 at halftime of that game and then just collapsed in the second half. A 38-yard field goal attempt with 2:14 left to tie the game was blocked. UCA lost despite outgaining Eastern Kentucky 481 to 346, so they outgained them by almost 150 yards. Eastern Kentucky, in fact, did not take its first lead in the game until there was 7:39 left. And UAPB falls to 1-5, its 5th consecutive loss, 34-7 on homecoming afternoon in Pine Bluff to Southern University. Golden Lions had only 207 yards of offense in that game, committed 5 turnovers. Now, talk about fun. The Great American Conference is going to be fun these last 4 weeks. There are no longer any undefeated teams as Harding beats Henderson. So you have 4 teams tied for the conference lead at 6-1 with 4 weeks remaining. Ouachita 6-1, Henderson 6-1, Harding 6-1, Southeastern Oklahoma is 6-1. It's going to be fun. Harding went to Arkadelphia, as I said, knocked Henderson from the ranks of the undefeated, 46-21. Henderson had come in ranked number 9 in the country. Harding had come in ranked number 20 in the country. Harding scores, though, 4 touchdowns over a 13-minute span to turn a 9-7 lead into a 36-7 lead in the third quarter. Cole Chansey led that option attack for Harding. He's a running back, 231 yards and 4 touchdowns in the game. Ouachita moves to 6-1, a 34-0 win at 4-3 UAM. Tigers led 31-0 at halftime of that one. They got mad after losing to Harding. You remember they had a 30-game conference winning streak, and Harding ended it on the last Saturday of September. Since losing that game to Harding, Ouachita has outscored its next 3 opponents 128-27. So that's the 13th consecutive winning season secured there at Ouachita. T.J. Cole rushed for 151 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Ouachita's defense had 5 sacks. SAU goes to 3-4. Arkansas Tech drops to 2-5 following the Mule Riders' 34-17 victory in El Dorado. That was a Murphy USA Classic, is why it's in El Dorado. Tech took a 14-0 lead, and then Southern Arkansas scores 31 unanswered points. All right, let's get back to the SEC. What a disgrace at Tennessee. Do you agree with me? I mean, you can think what you want about Lane Kiffin, but, folks, a golf ball can kill somebody. And I think that ought to be a felony. If the people are caught who did that. Fans tossed trash on the field. A lot of you were probably watching late Saturday night. I was. 30 minutes it takes to clear the field. It's not going to happen, but I'd be fine if they forced Tennessee to play in Neyland Stadium in empty stadiums for the rest of their home games to send a strong message. Ole Miss goes to 5-1 overall, 2-1 in conference. Tennessee falls to 4-3 and 2-2 as the Rebels win 31-6. As we mentioned, Coach O's out at LSU, even in the wake of LSU's 49-42 victory over Florida. LSU is now 4-3 overall, 2-2 in the conference. Florida falls to 4-3 overall. They are 2-3 in the conference. Tyrion Davis-Price rushes for a school record 287 yards and 3 touchdowns, 287 rushing for LSU. And you think of the running backs they've had through the years, but he sets the school record. LSU's defense also came up with 4 interceptions. Number 1, Georgia even though Kentucky came in undefeated, I don't think any of us were surprised. They rolled to a 30-13 victory over Kentucky. So the Bulldogs are 7-0 overall, 5-0 in the SEC. Kentucky falls to 6-1 and 4-1. Stetson Bennett throws for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns for Georgia. Alabama, after that loss to A&M, bounces back as we suspected they would. They're 6-1, 3-1 in conference. Mississippi State falls to 3-3 and 1-2. Tide wins 49-9 in Stark Vegas. Bryce Young throws for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns for the Tide. Alabama had 543 yards of offense, and their defense had 7 sacks. Aggies keep winning. Texas A&M goes to 5-2 overall, 2-2 in the conference, following a 35-14 win over a pretty bad Missouri team that falls to 3-4, 0-3 in conference. The Aggies had 2 running backs combine for 292 rushing yards and 3 TDs against the nation's worst run defense. So that's something to look forward to in the Battle Line rivalry. The nation's worst run defense is at Missouri. South Carolina 4-3, 1-3. Vanderbilt 2-5, 0-3. So close for Vanderbilt for breaking that losing streak. But the Gamecocks win 21-20 in Columbia. South Carolina scores with 37 seconds left. That extends Vanderbilt's SEC losing streak now to 16 games. Commodores had taken the lead on a 28-yard field goal with just 1:36 to go, but they could not make it hold up. All right, this week in the SEC, David, of course, mentions the game out at War Memorial Stadium. Look, we all know that game is not going to be close, but I can assure you it is history. 1946 since they've played. Let's sell that out, Little Rock. We need to sell this out for the good of War Memorial Stadium, for the good of future games. UAPB at Arkansas, 11 a.m. You've also got Tennessee at Alabama, LSU at Ole Miss, Mississippi State at Vanderbilt, and South Carolina at Texas A&M. Thursday night, as David mentioned, a very good Louisiana Lafayette team comes to Arkansas State. Southern Arkansas on Saturday is at Ouachita. UAM is at Harding. Henderson is at Arkansas Tech. Ouachita, Harding, Henderson, all nationally ranked. It's great to have 3 teams from our state in the Division II top 25. You've also got Berry College out of Georgia at Hendrix. So really a great selection. You've got games this week on Thursday and then Saturday games in Little Rock, Jonesboro, Arkadelphia, Searcy, Russellville, Conway. Get out from in front of the TV, get your butt off the couch, and go to a college football game. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, you know, I mentioned on the radio show this morning to where, you know, if you're a season ticket holder and you're not going to the game, you know, walk down the street, knock on a door, and give it to somebody who's never been to a game before. You know, there are kids that a lot of times don't have the opportunity to see a Razorback game, and this would be a great opportunity. So I hope that happens this weekend. Should be. I heard the weather's going to be great. Going to be nice. Yeah, it's going to be outstanding. Ron, how you feeling? The goal line's going to come out and throw a punch early? Not if we play like we did this past weekend. All right. Well, listen, the main thing is to just get there and support Central Arkansas and an amazing War Memorial Stadium and 2 great programs in our state. All right. Before we bring Austin up, I want to acknowledge a few guests. Where's Robert Yates? Robert Yates right here covers Oaklawn racing for many, many years for the Democrat Gazette. But today he's here covering the Touchdown Club for Jip Crupshaw. But also Robert's been really involved in helping us with our James Street Sportsmanship. Yeah, we do a sportsmanship award every year, and he's been highly involved in doing that. Covered high school football forever. Robert, great to have you. Appreciate your friendship. Glad to have you here today. Also, my dad is here today. Try to get my dad. He's down in Panama City, Florida, so I don't get to see him very much. He's 81 years old. He's still shooting. Listen, there's a payoff for that, Pops, when I do that. Trust me, I do this for a living. He's 81. But every week when he shoots golf, he shoots in the 70s, my friend. Matter of fact, shot a 74 the other day. How about that? I know the golfers would appreciate that. But, you know, my mom moved up here a few years ago, and I'm so grateful to have my mom where I can see her every day if I want to. Yes, if I want to, yeah, or if she wants to. But so grateful to have access to her. And I'm an only child, so I will say firmly with this: anything that I've achieved in my life or will achieve, I owe to my mother and father. I think they're the greatest parents on the planet. Yes, God bless you both. It's the greatest thing God has given me beside his son is an amazing mom and dad. So I'm very grateful. Not all of us have our mom and dads here with us, and so I try to enjoy every moment. And so glad to have you here, Pops. We didn't get the victory. Now, one thing good about Austin today, Austin helped provide something very special for you a few years ago when we beat those Florida Gators up in Fayetteville when they were ranked number 10, and you were there for that game. That's exactly right. But, Pops, great to have you up here. I'm going to take him to a lotion after this. We're going to see the Jackson T. Stevens Cup, yeah. But great to have both my mom and dad here. And, of course, my girlfriend has to put up with me and my AWOL non-appearance every week. And so I appreciate Jessica also dealing with me every week and me not being around during football season. Love you. Also, the last person I want to introduce before we introduce Austin is really one of the good guys in coaching. He's been around forever. He's been an architect to some of the great Razorback defenses you've ever seen. He coached. He's an assistant coach coordinator under Houston Nutt, coordinator under Bobby Petrino. He also helped Chad Morris and both. Matter of fact, when Sam Pittman was hired, he was the first rehire that Sam Pittman made. He played his college ball at Virginia Tech back in the early 80s. Started your coaching career, I believe, in 1983 at Colorado. And when I mentioned Houston Nutt, you were with Houston at Boise State. You were with Houston at Arkansas. And I believe you were the architect of that great defensive stand or defensive game against Texas in the Cotton Bowl when we shut their butts down. And but one of the really great guys. He's the father of two of the greatest Razorback quarterbacks to ever play at Arkansas. Give it up for Bobby Allen, everybody. And Bobby still has great hair. Great hair, my man. And you pass that down to your kids. All right. Without further ado, this is a great intro by Sully. Matt, you might want to hit that sound pretty loud early on. I think it's Nat sound. But let's hear from Sully in our introduction of Austin Allen.
First down play action now. Complete over the middle to Cody Hollister.
Austin Allen was one of the toughest and most accurate passers in Razorback history. The two-year starter put up some impressive career numbers. He's ranked third in career completion percentage at just over 59%, and Austin is ranked 8th in career passing yards and completions. He's 7th all-time in career passing touchdowns with 36. As a junior at Arkansas, he led the SEC with 3,430 passing yards. He was also second in the conference with 25 touchdowns, and he led Arkansas to 3 top 15 wins. And Austin was at his best at the most critical times. That junior season, he orchestrated 3 fourth-quarter drives to either tie or take the lead. His 4 300-yard passing games in SEC play, second in school history. Austin, also the first Arkansas quarterback to throw 3 touchdown passes in 3 straight games since Ryan Mallett did it in 2010. On November 24, 2017, in his final collegiate game, Austin threw for 313 yards and 2 touchdowns against Missouri. Please welcome one of the top passers in Razorback history, the pride of Fayetteville, Austin Allen.
You remember how to hold that mic, don't you? We had strict instruction how to hold that mic. And Austin, you've got now Troy. I'm going to let you know. So he's going to be looking at that monitor right behind you. Just FYI. Well, welcome, buddy. Glad to have you.
Thanks for having me here. It's really an honor.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that I'm going to show a picture here in a minute that this is not your first time at the Touchdown Club.
I remember being here 10, 11 years ago, same position as Donovan right there, just walking up, grabbing the award. And so it's a pretty cool full circle moment right now.
Yeah, it's great to have your dad here, too. Now,
yeah.
I mentioned, check, 1, 2, check. I mentioned today that you got up at 2 o'clock, so tell everybody where you are and why you had to get up at 2.
So I'm running on espresso and coffee right now. I live in Leawood, Kansas, work for Travelers Insurance up there. So got the 5:15 flight schedule, about an hour and 10 minutes from the airport, and early wake-up call, but wouldn't miss it for the world. Once you invited me, it was the easiest decision of my life.
I like that. Very nice. So you're working for Travelers Insurance, and you're getting ready to get married in May.
Yep. If Peyton's watching on the Facebook live stream.
You bet she is.
She's from up there. I followed her up to Kansas City after college, met in college. May 14th, 2022. Got to make sure I get that date right.
Yeah, so now I know Brandon is married. What about Christian?
Christian's married, about to have his second child this week. Brandon, he's married, living in Cincinnati with Sarah, and they just had a child last July. So.
And Daniela, is that the way you pronounce that?
Yep, Daniela. She's
Daniela.
Little sister. Still living in Fayetteville. Boyfriend, not married, no kids.
Listen, Bobby, I love Daniela. I'm telling you, she's on that social media defending her brothers, baby. It's all about that. I love that. Now, mention. Let's show Matt. Let's show the picture of. Okay, let's see here. How about that? Check. Show a picture of Austin when he was in high school. This is when you signed to go with the Razorbacks here. So this is your dad at the signing ceremony. This was you were at Fayetteville High School when you did this. So go to the next picture, Matt. So that you're probably 18 years old. So there he is at the Touchdown Club, and you had been named the 7A Player of the Year, and you had won 2 state championships at Fayetteville. You were named the MVP of both state championship games, and you were the Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah, high school career, we had just an incredible team. Great coaching staff, Coach Patton, Coach Clark. And then really my junior year, that game, earlier in the year we lost to Bentonville 43-6. They were 25-game win streak. No one was even touching them. Get to that game, everyone, I think they probably ordered their rings and everything, championship shirts, and they were kind of getting after us in the first half. And in that second half, we kind of hit our stride and went for 2 in overtime and got it done. So it's something I'll.
Speaking of, Matt, do you have the clip from one R.J. Hawk making that particular call when you went for 2? Matt, if you have that. Hold on, listen to this. This is a
bring back some good memories right
Gonna go for 2. Man in motion from left to right. Austin Allen rolls to his right. Throwing back to the left. He's got it. Touchdown, Fayetteville! Fayetteville wins! Fayetteville storms the field and wins the 7A state title game!
You know, that's the first time I've ever heard that call. That is unbelievable.
That is outstanding.
It's going to be my new ringtone.
So one more shot, Matt. This is you at the podium. Back then when we did, look how young you look back there. Yeah, so that's when we used to allow everybody to speak and say a few words.
Yeah, my heart rate was probably about 190 beats per minute right there. I don't remember what I said, but it was awesome to be here.
So you saw that first picture, you decided to go to Arkansas. Your brother is there. Let's show a picture of, I think this is a really cool shot, number 10 and number 8. What was your decision about wanting to go to school there with your brother? But, a lot of people would say, I don't want to follow my brother, I want to do my own thing. Talk about your decision-making process there.
Yeah, for both of us, Arkansas is all we knew. Growing up, Dad's a coach there. We didn't have any pro teams. All we wanted to do was play for the University of Arkansas. So when he got that opportunity, he took advantage of it right away. When I got offered, I was still kind of, maybe I want to go see what else is out there, things of that nature. And then really when it came down to it, it was the easiest decision of my life, where it was a lifelong dream. First memories I ever have, going out to practice, me and my brother, sister, playing on the tackling dummies in '98. And that's kind of my first memory being there, going to practice, things like that. And, I'm probably more of a history buff about Arkansas football than pretty much anyone, where I was at the overtime games, the 7 overtime games, the Tennessee, Miracle on Markham, Part 1, Part 2. So it was really an easy decision. And when I talked to Brandon about it, and he understood where it's just both of our dreams, and we took advantage of it.
So obviously Brandon was there before you, and at that time it was not Brett Bielema who was coaching; it was Bobby Petrino, right?
Yep. Brandon was there with Bobby Petrino. He got recruited there. He was there for Brandon's freshman year, and then his second year was John L., Coach Smith, and then that's who I actually committed to with Brooks Ellis and Alex Brignoni.
Is that right?
Yep.
You first committed to John L.
To John L. Going end of our junior year, we were the first 3 commitments of that class, and then when Coach B came in, he kind of. I mean, luckily we got reoffered. So
I was about to say that's a pretty
gutsy
move to remember, because it was pretty clear that John L. Smith was a interim coach, right?
Well, that's the difference with the University of Arkansas, where me, Alex Brooks, we grew up in Fayetteville. That's all we wanted to do. Where Brooks had offers to Stanford, he had other places like that. But when it really gets down to it, it's the only school in our mind that, I mean, his family's from here, my family's from here, and then you look back on it now, 3-4 years removed, and I wouldn't have done anything differently.
You're talking about your brother. So you go to Arkansas, and there's your brother, and he becomes the stud there. He becomes the player, and you saw some tough things that your brother had to deal with.
Yeah, it wasn't always smooth. I will say that. There was some real dark times where. Just looking at where he's at now, 6 years in the NFL, who would have guessed that after the ULM game, back in 2012 or whatever it was. So that's credit to him. He never quit believing in himself. He never quit working. But, there was definitely some tough times. But, being able to lean on my dad, lean on my family, and, I think that it helped that I was there. We would just talk through it and things like that. So it all worked out, and that's how we've always thought about it.
It's pretty amazing that if you look at the record book, you're in the top 10 everywhere. You're at 3. I mean, a ton of different categories. So was your brother. Both of you, Bobby. You got to be just tickled to death to see that. But again, you had fans. You have social media. You and I were talking about the difficulty of being a player. And I remember I think there was a story about somebody catching his truck on fire. I don't know if that was true or not, but that was a story going around. That's how crazy fans were.
Yeah, social media I think is one of the best and worst things that a player can have, where it's such a microwave society where you throw one touchdown pass, you get on your phone after the game like, oh, people love me, and then next you realize you threw a pick in the third quarter, so you keep scrolling and it's trash can emoji, you're the worst, all this stuff. So it's definitely tough if you read it, but you got to have thick skin and can't really let anything rub you the wrong way.
He mentioned Brandon. I think we got a picture, Matt, of him with the Bengals, and that's who he's with now. As a matter of fact, yesterday, I think he threw a touchdown pass, right? He's back up to Joe Burrow, right?
He got in, he got one drive and led him down the field and threw a touchdown pass. So, I mean, year 6 in the league, wife and kid, I mean, he's just living the dream. I couldn't be happy for him.
I think it's fascinating because many of you may remember people were. Bobby, I don't know how you dealt with it, but I mean, it was rough. At times, people were complaining. But yet, Brandon kept producing.
Yeah.
He kept producing. And then for all the folks who didn't know if he was the best quarterback, as you said, he's 6 years in the league. You don't stay, even as a backup, 6 years in the league if you're not a great quarterback.
Right. He took advantage of his opportunity. His junior year, I think he had a great year his junior year at Arkansas, and then he kind of just carried that over into his senior year, where he just got more and more confident as we kept winning, as things started going our way. That Auburn game is what I always go back to when we won in 4 overtime, 2015, where it just seemed like something clicked for our whole team, and we just could not be stopped on offense. I mean, we were putting up 50 points in that Mississippi State game, Ole Miss game, and he's just kind of rode it all the way to 6 years in the NFL. Just got that confidence. It's the mind's a powerful thing, and he couldn't be happier for him. And he's golly, don't make me cry up here.
That's okay. Show the picture too, Matt. A great picture I found of both guys. Obviously supportive of you.
Yep.
Obviously once he's moved on to the NFL, but while you were still playing, I know he was locked in with you.
Yeah, that was actually after the Ole Miss game, 2015, when he got hurt and we won 30-0.
That's what it was. I did not realize that.
Yep. So that was really my first time getting SEC experience right there, and he was first one to talk to coming off the sidelines. Arm around my shoulder after the game. So that's what I'm saying. It was so cool to be able to play with him, and not many brothers get that opportunity. And for us, looking back on it now, 27, and I'm so glad I did, and it's awesome to think about.
Go back to 2013. Brett Bielema was named the head coach.
Yeah.
So when Bielema got the job, what were your thoughts? Who's this guy from the Big Ten, Wisconsin? Does he know the SEC? Or were you go, oh man, that guy was a winner? What were your thoughts when he was named head coach?
When I didn't know too much about the Big Ten. I mean, I obviously follow college football, and I knew Wisconsin was in the Big Ten championship game every year, so I knew he was a winner. But the first meeting I had with him, I mean, me, Brooks, and Alex, we committed on the spot once he reoffered the scholarship.
Alex Collins too, by the way, right?
Alex Collins was later on.
Okay,
that was Alex Brignoni.
Okay.
We were the Fable guys. But I mean, I love Coach B. I thought he was a great coach, great person. He still reaches out to this day, and I wish nothing but the best for him.
If you'd had a second choice, if he had not gone to Arkansas, where would you have gone? Do you ever think about that?
That's a good question. I don't know.
You never got to that
you should
point.
ask me. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So this is something I caught early on here. This is just sort of a random off. Show the first picture. So this is Austin Allen. I don't know if that's your junior year or your sophomore year. But let's go to the junior year, and somehow you make the transformation to Hollywood A-list guy. And so let's show them both compared. Now, look at there. It's the same guy. But so tell me a little bit about the hair change there.
It's funny. I see Hunter's grandpa over there, and that hairstyle was actually me and Hunter. We lived together, Hunter Henry, and who could grow your hair out the longest without getting a cut. So he got his cut because he won the Mackey, and so I was like, oh, all right, whatever. So the next week I was like, I kind of like this, whatever. I'm actually coming back from playing golf in a golf hat, and we go to a team meeting at 3 p.m. and they go, you're late for media day pictures. You got to go take a picture for the media day for the program guide. So that is now the mullet that gets pulled up everywhere.
I remember
just right on Google. It's the worst picture of all time.
What? No, I remember. You know what I was remembering? You know what the media thought, or at least I thought. Look at Austin with the swag, coming with the long hair, like Aaron Rodgers. That's what he's doing now with the long hair.
Yeah, I don't know about his hair.
Let's talk about some of the players you played with. Let's start with Frank Ragnow, who obviously super stud coming out of Minnesota. There's a picture of you and him, Matt, that when you're going to the SEC meetings, big dude, great guy. I'm sure you remember that day. What do you remember about Frank?
So Frank's one of my best friends. He just got married last June. I was in the wedding. And he, I mean, just you can't say enough good things about him. One, he's one of the best football players I've ever been around, and then two, he's one of the best people you'll ever be around as well, where the way he worked in football, where how hard he worked, I see why he's the highest paid center in the NFL right now. One, he's really good and he has a work ethic to match it. And then two, just the type of person he is, where he's the guy who knows every single person's name in the building. He knows the janitors. He treats every single person the exact way he'd want to be treated. And I think that tells about how he was raised and the type of person he is.
Obviously, you're very close to the center. Obviously, you're putting your hands between his legs every snap. But you mentioned good guy. You guys remember the Alabama game, Matt? I think we've got a picture. He lost his father that week, and Nick Saban came up to him, I think, after the game and just acknowledged him. What do you remember about that week? I know it was a very emotional time.
Yeah, that was the hardest week I remember from college. I mean, wins and losses, you can get over that, but just knowing that one of your teammates is hurting like that, it's something. I think it's the 5-year anniversary that happened just a few weeks back. So the fact that he came back and played that Saturday afternoon, where he was gone all week with his family up in Minnesota, and then comes back because that's what his dad would want him to do, and he graded out as the highest offensive lineman on our team, PFF, center of the week, and that's just it's unbelievable for him to come back for his teammates and come back because he knew his dad would like that, and it's just a tough thing to talk about. It's a tough thing because I don't know what was going through his mind. I still don't really like bringing it up, but
this shows the kind of guy he is. Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned the Lions, obviously first-round draft choice, highest paid center, as you mentioned. Sadly, he had a major turf toe type injury. He's out for the year with Detroit.
Yeah, and he's one of the toughest guys you'll ever meet as well, where during that Auburn game, he broke his ankle his senior year and played on it the rest of the game, where just kind of taped it up, didn't really think about anything, thought it was just a sprain, goes in the MRI, gets they say it's broken, out for the year. And then the severe turf toe, he did it on the first play of the game and then played all the way until halftime and just try to tape it up and go. And that's, I mean, he's the football guy. That's what you want on your team.
A little bit later, we're going to hear Brett Bielema talk about those injuries and how they impacted, your senior year. A couple other teammates I wanted to throw out. I love these two guys, Drew Morgan and Raleigh Williams. So obviously, we mentioned Grant a minute ago. That's Drew is the older brother of Grant. Great receiver. Let's talk about Drew first.
Drew, well, I want to give a shout out to Drew. He just had his first child yesterday.
Or he actually, I invited him to be here with you,
and
okay. That's why he couldn't do it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, one, congratulations to him, but two, he's one of the hardest workers you'll be around as well, where that's, two-star coming out of Greenwood, and then you think back 4 years later, he's one of the best wide receivers that's played at the University of Arkansas, where he came in every single day, hardest worker in the room, always trying to get better, after practice catching balls, knowing the offense just like a quarterback would. And that's why, those last 2 years, he got all those catches he did. We'd start with Brandon, where he could read coverages, what Brandon's seen, and sit in the hole and be able to get that 15-yard big 3rd down 12 or whatever it was. And kind of carried over whenever I played my junior year. He was kind of the guy you look to on 3rd and 6. Drew's going to, 1, win off the line, and then 2, read the coverage and sit in that hole and be an easy first down. So he's exactly what you want as a quarterback. To look out there and know that guy knows exactly what coverage is going on. He knows it down and distance, and he's going to make a play for you.
Yeah, those Morgans are tough. They're like their family. Good quality people. And obviously, Grant showed that as well in his career.
So my senior year, Grant was actually playing. He was starting.
Is that right?
Yep. We played New Mexico State in one
Good
of our.
Lord.
Yeah, he's
been there for. He's like an NFL player there.
He's 6 years, I guess now, whatever it is. But him and Hayden Henry were both there when I was a senior, so it's I don't have too many people anymore that I know on the team, but it's funny where Grant made an interception in the end zone, I think, that game it was kind of a close game with New Mexico State for a little bit, and he made a play, 6 years ago, and look at him now, All-American. So
some people may forget, I think we got a shot of Raleigh Williams. Raleigh, remember he was injured when playing with your brother against Auburn. I guess that was the overtime game, right? It was. I think it was the overtime game. So he comes back for your first year as a junior. So you've sat for 3 years waiting your opportunity. Sat for 3 years, and you come back. He turns out to lead the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, that's God. He's a heck of a player and a heck of a person, might I add. He's now going into NFL agent, and that's a guy. If I'm coming out of college, that's who you want in your corner because he's that type of person. But two, it's terrible what happened with the injury-wise, but he'd be a guy that's still in the league right now. I think he was that good. He was that talented. Leading the league in the SEC, it's tough to do when you got Derrick Henry and those guys who he's playing against, playing with. And he's a guy who was a leader for our team. What happened spring ball going into senior year was because he worked so hard to get back to that level.
Do you guys remember what happened? So you had the injury, the neck injury against Auburn when your brother was the starting quarterback. Yep. A lot of people don't think he could come back. Comes back, leads the SEC in rushing with you.
Yep.
And is a key component in helping you guys with wins. Then comes back to the spring going into your senior year. He gets hurt and he's done.
Yep, it was one of the last plays of spring ball, just not even tackling or anything, just kind of thudding up and just gets hit the wrong way. And thank God he's, nothing worse where he's able to walk. Nothing's wrong with him or anything. So once that happened, he kind of knew, okay, I'm playing with fire right now. I got the rest of my life to live. He got his MBA. He's got his agency license. So the world's at his fingertips, and he's gonna kill it.
In a day and age where a lot of people are transferring, like when they are out as a starter, they transfer portal. You sat for 3 years, redshirt, and then sat your freshman and sophomore year. How tough was that, even though it was your brother playing?
Yeah, so I personally hate the transfer portal. That's just my mindset on it. There's guys who, second string, they think the grass is greener. Sometimes it's not greener, and sometimes you're going to take that scholarship and not, you're not going to get that opportunity again. So there is some circumstances, obviously, that, you see the writing on the wall. Okay, let's see what else is out there. But for guys who are freshmen just coming out of high school, they don't even know what they're doing yet. They're still learning about themselves, learning how to be a college football player, and they don't get playing time, so they leave after 1 year where who knows, that guy in front of you might go down the next week and you turn into an All-American football player. So I don't personally like it how it gives people an out in a way.
Gotcha. Now think about this. So 2013, your redshirt freshmen, it's Bielema's first year. The Razorbacks go 3-9, 0-8 in the conference. Come back your freshman year, 7-6, 2-6. I think those were the Ole Miss LSU wins, were the first wins in conference in forever. 2015, your brother's senior year, your sophomore year, Razorbacks go to 8-5, 2-6 in the conference. But you feel momentum going. Do you remember that 85? Did you sort of sense that 2015 that maybe it was your brother's senior year that the program was headed the right direction?
Yeah, as we looked back on that year, we had all the talent in the world. Where that was the year we lost to Toledo early on, where kind of got things rolling in that Auburn game. Where once we got that, got over the hump a little bit, things were clicking. We had Alex Collins in the backfield, Jonathan Williams, Keon Hatcher, Drew Morgan, Denver Kirkland, Sebastian Tola, all these, Frank Ragnow, Brandon, all these guys were, we were pretty much unstoppable. So as we look back, if we could have gotten that Toledo, Mississippi State, should have beat A&M that year, we're looking at an 11-win team, 10-win team, kind of in the hunt of whatever we wanted.
So Brandon graduates. You finally get your shot. So you come back 2016. So this guy leads the Razorbacks to 3 wins over top 15 programs. You beat TCU, which I'm going to show you a video clip of that in a minute. They were number 15. You beat number 12 Ole Miss, and you beat number 10 Florida. And so, that team, again, looked like things were headed the direction. You'd lost Sam Pittman. Remember, Sam Pittman had left to go to Georgia. But things looked like they were headed the right direction.
Yeah, that year, all I remember, I mean, those 3 games, those were great wins for us, but what I remember is the last 2. That just it kills me to think about now. I still it makes my skin crawl when I live in Kansas City, Missouri. I mean, people bring up Missouri, and it just makes me I can't even look at the orange or the yellow and black.
So you're sitting at 7-4.
Yeah.
With the last game in the bowl game, you go up by 21 points against Missouri, and I'm up there and I'm thinking, wow, you're getting ready to go to 8-4 at the time with a chance to be 9-4. You lose that game. You try to. I remember Brett Bielema going, we're going to be prepared to not let this happen again. You go to Virginia Tech, talk about the Belt Bowl.
Yeah, we kind of started off how we did against Missouri in that game. Started off hot. Got up 24-0 at halftime. Go into the locker room, everyone's like, hey, you remember, we weren't thinking about Missouri, but we were locked in. Like, these guys, they're a good football team. They're going to come out and play in the second half. And things just, didn't go our way. I don't know. I blame myself personally. I mean, that's the job of a quarterback. You get the congratulations, and you got to take the brunt of it all as well. So that's one of those games as well where I look back on it, and I know my dad went to Virginia Tech, but I hate when I see the Hokies come across the screen.
Right, yeah. What did we say? What did you say, Bobby? I think you wonder what would have happened if you guys would have won those 2 games. Brett Bielema may be still coaching. You go to 9-4 at that point. You come back your senior year, and again, what happens? You start having injuries like crazy. You lose Raleigh Williams. Yeah. You're out for 4 games. Frank Ragnow breaks his ankle.
Yeah, it comes in waves, I feel like. Where really it started with Raleigh, where we felt we were clicking on all cylinders in spring ball. We kind of picked up from last year. We had new wideouts come in: LaMichael Petway, Deion Stewart, Jordan Jones. They kind of took over for Keon, Drew, Sprinkle. And we had some new faces in Brandon Martin and some other guys where we felt we had the talent that we had the year before. And we go through spring ball, Raleigh gets out, but we have Devwall Whaley. We're thinking, okay, he's a playmaker. He can go. He can win us some games. Get to fall camp, a few more guys, offensive line kind of get hurt, get a little banged up. And then it just kind of carried all the way into the season where, against South Carolina, first play of the game, you get hit just the one wrong way and you get a shoulder contusion or whatever it is, and then you can't really lift your arm for the next 4 weeks and just trying to shoot it up before a game and go play and all that. And it's just one of those years to look back on. It has had so much hopes going into senior year, and it's frustrating to think about, but you live and learn. And I think it made myself better as I look back at myself 4 years from now, going through all that adversity for that year where things were kind of going your way the year before, and you get punched in the mouth, and how do you respond? You didn't win as many games as we liked, but I feel like every time we were out there, we were competing, trying to win, and that's all you can ask for.
we're not going to play it even though I had it. Brett Bielema had the press conference. He was obviously fired that last game. He made the comment. He said, you know what, I thought we had it going the right direction. He said, you know, we started losing some players to injuries. He said nobody wants to hear that. But he felt that the program was better, you know, better than it was when he got there. You agree with that?
I agree. That first year when we went 3-9, that was tough. It was not fun going into, you know, meetings on Sunday afternoon after you get beat by Alabama 52-0. The following week, South Carolina 52-0. You don't want to be around the program at that point. But he built a culture up that I thought was going to, you know, he got those guys like Frank Ragnow, Sebastian Tola, Denver Kirkland, Alex Collins. You wouldn't have even heard of these guys if it wasn't for Coach B, Coach Pittman, those guys, the type of recruiters that he had come in to be able to get those guys. And unfortunately, things, you know, attrition of coaches getting out of there where Coach Pitt went to.
I was going to ask you, that's my next step. So obviously you lose Pittman. Talk about your experience working with Sam Pittman and what exposure, obviously, as a coach it was
so
to you.
I was there with him for 3 years. And that's a guy that everyone on the team, didn't matter if you were a lineman, didn't matter if you were a wide receiver, he'd always be meeting with the lineman after meetings or whatever, and they'd go into his room and just try to pick his brain of what he's thinking, what he's coaching, and then just also being around him, where you see him, he's the same guy he is on the podium as he is in the meetings, where he's tell it straight like it is. If you didn't play well, he's going to tell you didn't play well. You got to get better, and he's not going to try to sugarcoat anything. And I think he's just a really great ball coach, and I'm glad he's the head hog of the University of Arkansas. And I think he's going to really get this thing rolling.
You were happy to see when he was named that coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So some of my former teammates penned that letter, kind of advocating for him, and you just read that letter and it's all true. Where he's a guy that you'd run through a brick wall for, I guess. And as a player, as a coach, that's what you want your players to do is, you know, you might be down 21 points in the fourth quarter, but they're still going to go out there and compete.
So we were talking about fans and social media. Arkansas starts out 4-0, number 8 in the country. You know, 2 years ago we were just getting drummed by Western Kentucky. And so now you've lost 2 in a row. You got fans, you know, jumping off the bandwagon. What do you say to people that you're watching what Sam Pittman's doing and maybe the struggles of the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, you know, the SEC, I mean, you look at the last 4 games, you got A&M who beat Alabama. They're starting to get things rolling. Georgia, they're going to be in the national championship. Then you got Ole Miss, who that guy's probably going to be a Heisman Trophy winner. And then you go into, you know, Auburn, who they've been recruiting top 10 for the past 10 years. So it's just a gauntlet. The SEC schedule, the way it was set up for us, it was a gauntlet. And I'm glad they got that A&M win. But, you know, we're one play away from beating Ole Miss on the road versus, you know, I think we're still competing. We're one play away in Auburn. You know, things didn't really go our way. A call somehow by the refs. But,
yes.
You know,
yes.
we're right there. So I watch the offense. I watch the defense. They haven't lost faith. They're still, every time they go out there, they feel like they believe they're going to win, and they should. I mean, they have enough talent, and they're playing well, I think. So it's just a gauntlet of a schedule.
We're going to end on this. This is one of the best games I've ever attended in person. Of course, I was covering it for the Buzz and for Channel 7. This was when TCU was 15th, and you guys went down to play them. It was back and forth. We pick up. Arkansas is down 28-20. You've got to go the length of the field with about a minute to go just to tie it up. Let's pick it up, Matt, and we'll talk over a couple of these plays.
Allen. Complete through Morgan. Look at this inside the 30. So now the clock stops till they reset the change.
So he really didn't have a cramp right there.
He did.
Allen. Complete inside the 20 to Cornelius. Out of bounds and a first down.
Okay, so stop right there. So you've taken them right down the field. Now obviously you got a score here. It's about 40 seconds left. What are you thinking?
So the first thing that you're taught as a quarterback in a 2-minute drill is get the first down, where you don't want to be 4th and 10. You know, just get the first down, where get a quick completion, whatever it is. And we got lucky. We called double comebacks, and Drew ran a great route, made a play, got an extra 15 yards, and we were able to kind of get things rolling where we weren't sitting 3rd and 10 on our own 25 being like, all right, we got to make a big play here. We got things rolling right off the bat, and at that point, I knew what coverage they were playing. We've repped it all week. They're going to play that kind of quarters look, and Jared Cornelius, he was running a great over route all game. We couldn't hit him, but it just all came together at the right point.
And now here's the play to get the touchdown.
There.
I believe it's Keon Hatcher, right?
Yep, double shake.
Allen.
That's a guy you get the snap, you see him one-on-one, and you don't look there anywhere else. So it's kind of like a Drew Morgan a little bit. Where
That's right.
You know he's going to.
So stop it right here. So here we go. You're down by 2. Does everybody remember what's coming next? All right. Tell us the name of the play that Danino's called.
It is called the annexation of Puerto Rico. What's the play called?
That is the play. This is the 2-point play call. And what does it involve?
It involves a double reverse pass. And what's funny is we repped it on Thursday. We always kind of go through gadgets or 2-point plays on Thursdays during the game. And we repped it the first time, and I caught it out of bounds where I just ran right out of bounds, basically. So we looked on film. On Friday, we go out and do it again. He goes, see how you're just going straight to the pylon? Go up another 3 yards and then angle it, and you'll catch it right on the sideline where we want it. So it's like the tape rolls. You'll see me just go up an extra 3 yards, and that's something that we just repped.
How about that
It's
Thursday
weird
before?
How it works out.
That's it.
Reverse. To pass. Allen.
If I was 6'6", I would have been a tight end right there.
Touchdown, Arkansas.
So that ties it up 28-28. You go into overtime. It's not over with yet.
You said reverse.
We got to shout out Dan Skipper for the big blocked field goal coming up here.
That's right.
And what will he
So look what they do next. On the ensuing kickoff, there goes TCU.
Oh, perfect.
How much time's on the clock there?
Inside the 30.
So guess what happens? All they need is a field goal to win it. We're thinking, oh my gosh, all that great drive. Here we go. Big Dan Skipper.
It is blocked.
It's always nice having 6'10", 330 on.
Blocks it. Game goes into overtime.
Who got up there? Austin Allen wipes the breath.
Austin Allen. So you come back, you're looking for Jeremy Sprinkle here.
Yep. So this is 3rd and 4, and it's called double pirate. Where really, as I look back on it now, it's 3rd and 4. Drew runs a great route where he kind of has the option to keep going out or whip it back in. He whips it back in. He's wide open for an easy first down, and I decide to throw a 50-50 ball. Worked out.
So you go up and TCU answers.
To the end zone.
Great throw and catch.
Williams finally breaking through.
This was an unbelievable game, a great atmosphere. It comes down to this. I think we're going to show TCU deciding to kick. They settle for the field goal. And now you guys have the ball back. You know a touchdown wins it.
Yep.
I think what down is it when you get the ball?
When we score?
When you score,
I think it's 3rd and 4, and they called the play. I read it off my wristband. I looked back, and I did this because I said, that's not the play that you want. Because I was like, we have Raleigh Williams, we have all these guys.
They wanted you to run
Why
it.
am I running the ball?
Was it like a sweep?
It was the element of surprise right there. So
was it a quarterback sweep? What do you call that?
It was a design quarterback run.
Not Raleigh Williams, but you.
Right. I had to do a little double take right there, but it worked out well. On the field, I said I trucked the guy, but then as you look at the tape, the guy's cleats kind of slipped out from under him, and then Frank Ragnow wedged me into the end zone.
When you called the play, did everybody go? Did you go? Let's go, boys.
Yeah,
Did they just call you a running play?
Yeah, I might have said some other words than "Let's go, boys," but we were getting fired up for that one. I mean, I kind of lost my mind there at the end when I spiked the ball and all that.
Watch the spike at the end and watch Frank Ragnow push you over the goal line. Here we go for the win.
Allen on the ground, trying.
Watch the spike.
For the win.
Watch the suplex by Dan right there if you finish.
One more time. Let's see that one more time. Watch it again.
That was a fun playing right back.
Allen on the ground, trying and pushed through for the win.
How about a round of applause for that? That's a great.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
So here's the deal. As we conclude, also, you talk about things didn't work out, maybe schedule, win and loss record wise, but man, some great experiences being a Razorback that you'll never forget.
Absolutely, I wouldn't change it for the world. Like I said earlier, it's how you respond to adversity. And I feel like as my time in college, I was the same person every single day, where every time I was out there, the only thing I cared about was playing my hardest and trying to get a win. Where every time I was out there, did everything I possibly could, I felt like, during that 60 minutes to try to win the game for us. And then it's just, really, it's the honor of my life to be able to play with those guys, come back here, be in front of you all. I just have great memories about it.
What a class act. Give it up for Austin Allen, everybody. Great job, Austin. Thanks for being here. Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson next week.
Thank you.
All right. Well, Austin will do some photos, too, if you want it.